Tom, it seems like everybody I've ever talked to uses the word measurement. I'm going to send somebody out to do the measurement. It would seem like the more you think about it, that really doesn't cover what they're actually doing.
No, and it doesn't make us look professional. You know, that's a word I really would suggest that we try to get out of our vernacular, simply because, you know, if the competition's doing it, that's probably a reason we shouldn't be. But to me, that just describes a small part of what the actual, you know, estimate will entail. Many times in our stores we'll get customers who pride themselves on taking very exact measurements, the engineer types that'll bring it in on graph paper, and if you say I need to come out and check your measurements, it gets to be, you know, just a little bit testy with them at times. So we need to talk about all the other things we're going to do. The term I would suggest we use is the term job site assessment. Very simple, you know, it's not hard to remember, it's not hard to understand. But then we talk about all the other things this visit will entail. We can talk about transitions from floor type to floor type or door to door. We talk about the accessibility of the job, anything special needed as far as equipment or dollies, things of that nature. We can see clearances. You know, we get the refrigerator out of the hole, but if we raise the floor up with a new wood or ceramic floor, for example, can we get the refrigerator back in the hole? And so, you know, kind of need a whole list of just things to check. Floor types, floor conditions. Is moisture an issue in terms of this is like a wood floor or a laminate floor where we need to take moisture readings? Make yourself more professional in the customer's eyes. Make her seem like this is more than just us coming by with a quick tape measure to check the calculations.
Yeah. Well, it really does separate the men from the boys. It separates a retailer from people that aren't really quite up to snuff.
Yeah, and you know, the hardest thing for us to do is to be memorable, and we have to stand out. And if three people all say, let's come out and take the measurements, you know, have you really accomplished anything in the customer's eyes in terms of having differentiated yourself? Likely not. Many times I would find, you know, when you get to the job site, well, you know, you're the third guy that's come or second guy that's come. You're the only one that mentioned this, or the only one that noticed that, or you're the only one. When you start doing these things, you know, you start to become the pro in the customer's eyes. And it takes a little bit of the emphasis off price. You know, I'm not naive. I know price is still important, but I think at the core, when we're all making major investments in things such as new flooring for our home, that, you know, the competency, you know, of the firm that's going to come out and do the job factors in there at least somewhere.
It seems so often, if the installer's out there and they discover a problem, then maybe the customer thinks that's a way, well, they're trying to get more money out of me or something.
Yeah, and that's so after the fact. You know, now it usually can't be resolved quickly unless it's, you know, maybe just a floor repair issue or something. And you cannot catch everything on one of these assessments. I always say, unless you're Superman, you can't see what's underneath this floor. So there's always going to be a few surprises, but you know, a problem that our industry has is that, you know, we mostly send the salespeople out to do the estimates. I get it. You know, it's a continuation. They already met the person they want to close in the home and all. But most can't think like installers. So what we try to do is to teach them, give them checklists and so forth, so they have, you know, some basis to kind of think as an installer as best as possible. Because you stop and think about it, it's really the only part of the equation where you send maybe the least qualified person out to do a very important job, which in turn usually makes the installer's job harder, makes the job go less smoothly, and who really loses in the end? You know, the customer.
I guess the checklist is really the education, though, it would seem. After you've done a couple, I think you probably would be a whole lot better in noticing the special needs and so on.
You'll notice things, but I think it's still important that the customers see us actually going through a process.
Yeah.
Because, you know, many stores send a third-party estimator out. You know, you deal with national chains, they'll send a third party. They don't know you, they don't know what you're looking at, they don't even want to get to know you, they don't answer questions, they're just here to establish quantities and so forth. And I think, you know, you'd have a real leg up if you took a few minutes and became, you know, a professional in the customer's eyes.
Should the salesperson see that visit as a sales opportunity as well as making sure that they do all these special needs things?
Well, absolutely. You know, there's two ways to make money. You know, that's to bring more in or make sure less flows out. If you can solve complaints and, you know, potential complaints, When you're there, of course, that's one way of saving money and keeping customers well satisfied. It's also an opportunity for, for qualified salespeople to know what they're doing to do additional add-on sales, if not today, down the road. For example, if the lady says, as soon as school's back in session, we're going to do the family room, get the kids out of the house. Now's your chance. Well, let me, take some information while I'm here, and if you don't mind, I'd love to put you on my mailing list, or my email list, however you want to do it. I'll notify you when things come up in the fall, so we make sure that you're aware of them. Low pressure, but just keep the lady in mind. Look around. If you're there putting ceramic tile in the kitchen, ask to take a look at the showers. A great majority of them need some repair or recaulking and so forth. It's a chance to put a little extra money into the ticket today. The guys are there anyway. We all get paid in some form of commission. And you still become the professional in the lady's eyes because she said, well, I never noticed that. Wow. I didn't know that. You've done her a favor, and yet you can still, build your ticket in the process.
What about the idea, installing floor coverings is a disruptive situation for any household. And I think a lot of times people aren't prepared for it. And maybe this visit would be a good time to let them know how much time it's going to take. What are some of the special situations that maybe will have to be done?
Sure.
Here?
Creating realistic expectations. Some use a form such as this and even have the customer sign off on it. That we have discussed this, we have discussed that. Others don't, and that's not always practical. Many times the customer's even not present. The neighbor lets you in, or an older kid's home, something like that. So, it's not always possible to have that discussion, get that signature. But yeah, sure, anything you can do up front to avoid conflict later is going to be a positive for all concerned.
But the words to remember: job site assessment.
Job site assessment. I think it's just a more professional approach and one more way to differentiate yourself from the competition.